Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are making a delicious salted caramel sauce. I am a sucker for anything salted caramel, so I know that you guys are gonna love this recipe as well. Salted caramel sauce pairs perfectly with ice cream, but also with pie. So if you haven't checked out our Apple Galette recipe yet, make sure you do. So if you guys are ready, let's pause the video here and go wash your hands. All right, you guys are back with clean hands. Let's get started by going over the ingredients we're gonna need for this recipe. For the salted caramel, we're going to need 1 cup of sugar, 6 tablespoons of butter, half a cup of coconut cream, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now we're gonna measure out all the ingredients for our salted caramel sauce. So we're gonna start with our sugar, which is the main ingredient in our caramel sauce. So you're gonna measure out 1 cup of regular white granulated sugar. I'm just going to use my spoon here to fill my cup. Perfect. So let's set that aside. We're going to do 6 tablespoons of butter. So this is my easy way of measuring with this measuring cup. I'm cheating a little bit because my measuring cup actually has tablespoons on it. If you don't have that feature in a measuring cup, you're gonna have to measure 6 tablespoons one at a time with your tablespoon. So just make do with whatever you have. I'm gonna fill this up, and 6 tablespoons is just a little bit more than 1/3 of a cup. So that's another way that you could measure, is just do something on there. Just do a little bit more than 1/3 of a cup if you're impatient and don't want to measure 6 tablespoons individually. So I'm just filling this up to the top. It's not the most glamorous way to measure things, but it works really well. So we'll just make sure we don't have any extra on there. There we go. All right, we're going to measure, not do, coconut cream. So you want a full fat can of coconut milk for this recipe, and the cream is what you see on the top of the can there. So let me just show you. You want to try to scoop out, let me see if I can, all of that chunky coconut cream. And we just want to try to fill this half a cup with any of this cream on top, while avoiding that liquid on the bottom. So a half a cup is going to be about all of that cream in the jar, just about. Yeah, so I have about half a can left, but it's mostly just liquid at the bottom. So you want to reserve this. You can use it when you're making a curry or a stir fry, or put it in smoothies or baking. So just use that like regular coconut milk. So half a cup. And the last thing is a teaspoon of salt, which is going to make our caramel sauce a little bit salty. So we have our teaspoon, and we're just going to measure that. And now we're ready to take all of these ingredients over to the stovetop to make our salted caramel sauce. Come join me. Okay, so we've got all of our ingredients prepped and ready to go here, and we're going to be using the stovetop. So make sure you have an adult with you, because this recipe is a little bit scary because it does sputter and spit a little bit, and it will be very hot. So make sure you have an adult with you while you're making this recipe. So we're using a little bit of a higher pan here because the caramel sauce is going to rise and then fall. So you want something that has a little bit of depth to it. Okay, I'm gonna turn on my stovetop to a medium-high heat. And the first ingredient we're gonna add is the sugar. And we're just gonna constantly stir that while it's heating until it starts to melt. Just give it a few minutes for it to heat up. So this one takes a little while to get started, but once it starts to melt, it goes very quickly. So just give it a few minutes to let the heat work. It's magic. It's starting to get a little bit clumpy, which is good. Now you can start to see it melting. So you can see it's starting to really clump together now. It's melting and clumping together. Now it's really starting to take off. And sugar can burn real fast, so that's why you want to make sure you're keeping a close eye on it and just not letting it burn. The other thing you're going to notice is it's going to start to change color. It's going to turn more of an amber color, and that's how you know we're getting there. And it starts to smell. You can smell this like beautiful sugary scent. Now it's coming. We're almost melted. Just a few last little clumps here. Almost there. This recipe takes a little bit of patience. Okay, the next step you're definitely going to want to have an adult help you with, because we're going to add the cold butter to the warm sugar. So it is going to sputter and spit at you a little bit, which is a little bit frightening at first. But it's just because we're adding the cold butter to the hot pan. And just continuously stir. You can see how the butter makes it rise up a little bit. Now it's starting to look a little bit more like caramel sauce. And once all of the butter is incorporated, then we're going to add that coconut cream. There's the sputtering again. So that will only happen for a minute until the coconut cream warms up to the temperature of the butter and the sugar, and then it calms down. But now you can see why you need a nice tall pan for this recipe. And now we're just going to let this cook for a second longer so it starts to thicken up, and then we're going to add in the salt and we're done. I'm just going to stop stirring for a second and let it boil for about a minute to let it cook. Once your minute is up, give it another stir, and you're going to look to see if it's starting to thicken. And if it hasn't started to thicken up yet, then you know you got to leave it a little bit longer to cook. So let's just leave that for another second. If you find that it's taking more than a minute to thicken up, maybe turn your heat up a little bit and then let it cook again. Give it another stir. Then you're going to turn off your heat and just give it a chance to cool down a little bit. So although it's not fully thickened right now, it will thicken as it cools. So don't be discouraged if it's not the thickness that you would like. But at this point, you're going to add in that little bit of salt. And that's what's going to give it that salty, sweet flavor by the sugar and the salt coming together. So just stir that in until the salt is completely dissolved and you can't feel any more granular bits at the bottom of the pan. Oh, this looks delicious. And then you're just going to let this cool slightly before you use it. And if you have leftovers, you can store this in the fridge for about a week, or even try freezing it. So I'm going to let this sit for a couple of minutes and cool down, and then I'm going to drizzle it over one of my favorite dishes to show you what it looks like when it's all done. All right, so we've got our salted caramel sauce here, and I'm going to show you how you can use it over an apple galette, which is basically like a rustic apple pie. And so you're just going to take a spoon and then just very slowly do a little drizzle. And that's it. So there you go. Doesn't that look amazing? So let me know what you guys thought of this and also what you use your salted caramel sauce for. We'll see you guys soon.